Hi, everybody. This is Lowell, and here to talk to you a little bit about my favorite musicians. And another one today is Charles Ives. And you may never have heard of Charles Ives, but he was one of the most innovative composers in America in the 20th century. And I have just a little bit on this article that I wanted to read for this post. It says Charles Ives was born in 1874 to a deeply religious family. His father, George, was a very talented musician who led bands in the Civil War and was distinguished in doing so. He later became Danbury's leading musician and director for their community, including church. He was well loved and respected. Charles wrote, "One thing I'm certain of is that if I have done anything good in music, it was first because of my father and second because of my wife. What my father did for me was not only in his teaching on the technical side, etc., but in his influence, his personality, character, and open-mindedness, and his remarkable understanding of the ways of a boy's heart and mind. He has had a remarkable talent for music and for the nature of music and sound, and also a philosophy of music that was unusual." Both Charles and his father possessed perfect pitch. Charles, growing up, was particularly sensitive to sound, particularly those of his childhood experiences, hearing the hymns, patriotic tunes, and popular household songs, mostly written in the mid-1800s. I guess that's about as much as I wanted to share there. So he was influenced by his father, and his father was essentially a church musician. And there's a story where at one time his father was they both approached music from the standpoint of playing games. And at one time, his father wanted to experiment with what it would seem like, what it would look like to actually have in the city different musicians stationed at different high places in the city, towers, if you will, up in the city, starting to play different things at random times, and what it would sound like for all those sounds to come together. And just for fun, he just wanted to see what would happen. And Charles Ives actually used that idea in one of his symphonic works, where he pictorially has a marching band coming from one side, and then another marching band comes from another side, and then they both are playing different things, and they end up passing each other and then fading off into the distance. It was one of the movements of a symphonic work. Anyway, they both approached music from a playful standpoint, and that's really what created essentially an avant-garde approach. It wasn't standard, although he understood standard classical disciplines. He approached music from a truly Americana, frontier, wide open prairie. Hey, let's try this. It was an Americana type of feel, and it was rooted in a spiritual and a really kind of a romanticized appreciation for American culture. And I just really appreciate Ives' willingness to be a pioneer in his creativity. Another thing that was kind of fascinating about Ives is that he made his living as an insurance salesman in New York, and so he was able to make a living on one hand as a businessman, but then on the other hand, his creativity was very forefront, and he became a pattern of American creativity, and was known as one of the most important American composers of the 20th century. So I admire Charles Ives for his Americana vision, and for his Christian upbringing, and for his willingness to innovate.